Yeah, kid! Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer podcast. I am Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer. This episode is sponsored by none other than Captain Permit. That's right, 516-513-8838. People, if you're out there, you need permits. So if you are a mortgage broker, a realtor, an investor, anybody, you need us. If you don't need us now, you will need us tomorrow. So store this number, 516-513-8838. Family-owned business, you'll deal with either my father, Jay, or you'll deal with my brother-in-law, Ryan, who's kind of like a cross between a hipster and a wood whittler with the most amazing beard you have ever seen. I promise. Check it out. Then text me, call me, email me. Tell me what you think of the beard. In fact, maybe we should do like one of these things. Like you take a picture with Ryan with the beard, you get a discount. I don't know. I'm going to play with that. By next podcast, I'll have an answer. Me, obviously, the standard. 516-777 sold. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, or has 8 inches of mold on the wall, you name it, the worse off, the better. I want to buy it. I'm easy. I'm low maintenance. Today's guest will attest to that, I hope. But most importantly, we are in the commercial property world these days, big time. So if you have land for development, self-storage, strip malls, assisted living, office buildings, whatever it is, you name it. The bigger, the better. The dirtier, the better. The uglier, the better. We don't care. I don't care. 516-777 sold. All right. Today's guest. I love today's guest. Today's guest is my girl. Like, she is my girl. Like, we are kindred spirits for a number of different reasons. A, if you haven't already noticed, I have this kind of, witty banter thing going on. There's nothing more attractive in a person, guy or girl, regardless. This isn't a sexual thing. Than quick-witted people. Like if someone can really keep up with you and it's like kind of like a back and forth, you're beating it back and forth. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. She is the queen of that. She is a cartoon just like me, right?
Yeah.
Larger than life character, all right? Tons of things to learn from her. Her hustle is unbelievable. She's very successful. She is royalty in this business. Second generation or third generation? Second generation. Rosie the realtor, a.k.a. Rosie Bozza.
Good morning, I'm
You like that?
Yeah, it's great.
I try to under-promise and over-deliver.
You almost made me nervous.
Under-promise and over-deliver. So that's kind of like a sneak peek about what we have. So where do we start with this? So when I think of you, I think insane hustle. Right?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to keep up with you.
Insane hustle. Like, I don't know if there's any other agents out there that work as hard as Rosie. Just she prefers to do it after 9:30, right? It could go
if I can. Yeah, that is preferable. Yeah, 100%.
It could go. It'll go.
I'll work till 9:30 at night, but in AM I'd prefer after 9:30 AM. Yeah.
I would say that you'll work till like 2-3 in the morning if you have to.
Yeah.
You just don't want to do the. You're not a morning person.
I don't wake up like this. This is a little bit of effort. A lot of work. You know what I mean? This
is a little bit of effort.
I look like Medusa, and now not so much.
And a 30-ounce Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Iced coffee.
7-Eleven iced coffee, which is my former alma mater. I miss those days. So the really interesting thing about Rosie, I mean, there's a lot, but what I really want to go into first is she is as multifaceted as possible within the real estate world, meaning she lists a lot of single family properties. She works with a lot of buyers. She does a lot of property management work. She does a lot of single family rentals, and she does a lot of commercial rentals. So she's not a one trick pony. So depending on how the market is moving, depending on which market it is, she can she can capitalize on that, which is interesting. So I guess before we get into that, so you're a broker at Above Board Realty, right?
Well, yeah, I'm actually getting my broker's license as we speak, but I'm an agent at the moment.
Mazel tov.
Mom's the broker.
It's your mom. Your mom started the business.
She's the muscle, man.
So you grew up in this. Like, how did you always know that this is what you were going to do?
No, I wanted to be a sniper. That was my dream.
You wanted to be a what?
I wanted to be a sniper.
No, like with a gun?
Lay on the rooftop and snipe you out from a distance. What? That was my dream come true.
No.
Yeah, so I went to college for the first couple of years.
How do I not know this about you? And I don't know. I know you for a while, and I asked probing questions.
Well, now that's my 401k plan. If all goes to hell, I'll just be a hired hitman.
You'll just be, because you see what I'm saying with the wit guys? Like, and I'm not like, men in general, I'm going to pat myself on the back here. And if I'm wrong, shoot me down right now, right? I know you, and that's why I love you. Men in general, we're shit communicators, right? We say that.
Yeah.
We suck at, and we don't listen, which makes it worse.
You listen, though.
Well, that's why I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I'm going to say my gender in general.
Sometimes you listen too well, and I'm like, shit, did I say that? I don't know. I can't remember.
And that's why I'm really surprised that I didn't know that you wanted to be a sniper.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my... So, I didn't want to be like a beat cop. I didn't want to be a cop. I wanted to be bigger than that. That was my dream. But, I was 17, 18 years old.
So, no, but that's not that long ago. So, what...
It feels like forever ago.
What deterred you from being a sniper?
My mom. My mom was freaking out.
She's like, don't be a fucking sniper?
She was just afraid that I would, that I would get hurt or, yeah.
Well, that's usually what happens when you're trying to kill, like, Osama.
Well, right. But isn't that nice to put on your resume?
I guess, but I feel like most of the time people aren't allowed to know about that shit because then they try to blow up your car or something.
Well, then they have to get whacked, and that's when you call the other guy.
Okay.
But anyhow, so my mom has been in the business for 30 plus years now, and she's worked for a couple different companies, and she has a standard of business that she upholds. So she decided one day she was going to branch on her own, and offered me to come along with a majority of my family. And
wow. You have other family members that are agents that work there?
All my sisters are licensed. My father's licensed. My aunts, my uncles.
Does that become what's the word I'm looking for? Because I've worked with family and still work with family. Does that become, should we say, tumultuous, for lack of a better word?
It can be. I mean, I think it depends on the personality. It's not easy. Many people have a hard time working with family. I love working with my family.
Yeah.
I'm just a different cut. I think. It's not. And I'm not entitled to anything. You work for it, and being a family-owned business, God, you learn that early, But then there's always, I guess, competition or jealousy one way or another. That's regardless of agents and business in general.
That's true. So you started. So after the sniper thing, you jumped into real estate at what? 18, 19?
18. Yeah, I got my license right away. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was my biggest obstacle. I think is my age. Everyone was like, "Well, what do you know about?" selling or helping me buy a home, And I'm like, well, sir, I have kids, no husband, nothing better to do. Let's rock.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. and that was my answer.
That was your slogan.
And you know what? People digged it or they didn't. And I think it's the quality of service and dedication that really proves your words. So,
which I can attest to.
Do what you say you're going to do, and you're going to be fine.
Which I can attest to. I mean, so when I know that you're everywhere. You're all over Long Island, right? Mm-hmm. But when I think of you, obviously your office is in Amityville. It's on Back Road in Amityville. But when I think of you, I think you're like, Amityville royalty. I mean, everybody knows you there. The mayor knows you there. Like, everybody knows you there. Yeah. And, but we talked before, you kind of like, you'll go everywhere. You have great knowledge of the entire island, but you seem to like concentrate within like a certain hub, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's been in the business forever. My father's a contractor plumber, so believe me, we've moved like countless times. By the time we got out of plywood, we sold the house and moved on. So I've moved like 17 times in my life, from North Shore to South Shore.
Oh, really?
You name it. Yeah. So I have a very good, I guess I know my surroundings very well. I know North Shore well as well as South Shore, but my focus is the South Shore. But referrals, I'll go wherever they want to go. It's
so the kind of like because. Every agent has this thing. What I'm trying to get at is like every agent kind of has like has a strategy, whatever. Okay. Some agents are all over the place. Some people sell in one town, whatever it is. Like, and it works differently for everybody. Like you do a lot of business, all different types of business, right? So, do you find that? And sometimes it's a matter of efficiency. Like, do you find like Brian Carper's on here, and he's like, I'll only go between these two real areas because if I leave, he's like, I can't do it.
You can't be everywhere at once. So yeah, that's tough, but you have to time management. I mean, you have to manage your time appropriately. If you can, to the best of your ability,
How do you? I mean, again, you've been doing this a long time, and you had your mom. So how do you? For other agents out there. How do you start to build that following?
It's hard. I think it's the way that individual is built. There's this business isn't for everybody. Some people are better off with that 9 to 5. They leave work and they're done for the day. That's not the reality of our lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. So you just have to engulf yourself into what you're doing. Whether it's you want to get up at 9 or 10, that's fine. But you're going to work all day and you're going to be working 7 days a week. Yeah, I mean, as far as new agents, I have a hard time. Like, I have to have them follow me. So that's what I've been doing. This past year, I've been trying to get the new agents, and train the new agents as to doing proper business like my mother did. Bringing brand new agents are a lot easier than older seasoned agents
who
have terrible habits and so
sense.
On.
But when you bring in agents, you're looking for a mentality more than anything else.
Right.
Because this is this is a hustle. And now I see, I remember their stats came out not that long ago. There's 28,000 agents now with LIBOR, and half of them didn't do a deal last year.
Right.
And I feel like also there's a lot of part-time agents, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think being a part-time agent is the greatest side hustle out there.
If you can do that, God bless you.
The thing that's frustrating for me as a real estate investor who's unloading properties, right, is that you get an accepted offer, your people do a home inspection, nobody can get in touch with you.
For 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah, or if they do, it's freaking 9 o'clock at night because you're working, you just don't care, and you're going out and getting drunk, whatever it is. So, I guess people have to understand.
I think for new agents, it's like having the follow through, don't give up, because it's not an easy thing to get into. Thankfully, I got into it young, where I didn't have many financial responsibilities, that I was able to, even back then, you did a deal. It was all right, you made good money, and now the lack of, motivation to go and do it again tomorrow just wasn't there because you didn't have that obligation,
Aren't we still young?
You know what? The gray hair.
You don't have any gray hair.
Well, listen, I spread my part right now. It's pretty intense. I'm gone black because it's just not covering the grays as well anymore. It's not an easy business, so it's not. You can't show somebody one house and expect them to buy it. You can't show them one rental. It's an education, and you have to be patient. And it's just as much an education to yourself, to the market, as well as to the buyer and their expectations of what they're going to get financially in their budget.
So I guess you're coming from that place, you do take a lot of listings, but you also work with a lot of people.
I do a lot of buyers. Listings are great. Who doesn't love listings, right? Yeah. If anything, you get more buyers because of your listing. Yeah. If that house doesn't work for them, but buyers is probably my specialty because you really have to listen to what they want. All right, everyone has the pipe dream, right? And the non-negotiable list. Well, what's the budget and what areas of interest? And it's an education to them to show them what you're going to get for a certain amount of money. Yeah. You can't. It's not like selling cars. You know what I mean?
Would you agree? There's kind of it seems to me there's kind of like a process, and you work with mostly first-time home buyers. Does that make sense?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just happens to work out that way. There's a process to it. And I think people get frustrated and they try to skip along the process. As an agent, I can imagine getting frustrated, because you know it's a good deal for somebody and what the market's like, but they have to understand it. So they have to see 10 or 15 houses. Then they have to muster up the courage to make an offer. Then they have to lose a couple houses that they really want until really ready to go.
If you're doing the right thing on there, hopefully you don't have to go that route. Okay, if you're showing them houses within their price bracket and giving them options, they're going and when you're done showing each, you're going to point out the positives and the negatives. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about it because we're a team. I'm not just an agent that's opening the door. Okay, I'm here to educate you and point out the big financial things you're going to have to look at: the roof, the utility system, just the location, school district. These things are more valuable than the paint on the wall or the kitchen that's done. You could buy a house that's completely finished in a not so nice area, or you can buy something that's grandma's house. Grandma's house is the best house to buy in good school district, nicer area.
And see, this is why Rosie does a ton of deals, people, because you get the full package. And you actually have construction knowledge. So you can, your father is in the business, you understand construction. So
yeah, and I just learned it firsthand, blood, sweat, tears, it's not just so easy to take this wall down, but it can be done, So
you understand, pricing to a certain extent and what,
And I think today's buyers there's so much information out there that they're doing their own research when they leave you. So just to double check your work, no less, it's just...
So you better be on point, basically.
You should always be on point. You're not going to convince anybody of anything. If they want the house, they're going to get the house. You know what I mean? There's times where, of course, they've dragged their feet. They're a little nervous, first-time home buyers especially. But now, once they do, they understand what they're looking for.
I want to get your kind of opinion on, we were talking about it a little bit off air before, up-and-coming areas where you see the best value are. Things are getting expensive. It's a little freaking crazy. It's a little scary in certain capacities. The market's kind of shifting around, which we'll talk to in a little bit. But, where do you kind of see as the areas of best value or kind of like up and coming areas that maybe people don't know about?
I think West Islip has become quite desirable. You get a nice piece of property, your taxes are decent, and you get the big bang for your buck. Like
you're not too far out either.
You're not. It's like that. Just that border where it's probably still an hour to the city. You know what I mean? You're close to the beaches. You got Southern State there, Saginaw Coast. You're still along Merrick Road, Sunrise Highway. That seems to be, at least my generation within my circle. That's where people are leaning. They may have started out looking in Massapequa, Seaford, and realized, you know what, the taxes in Nassau are just they're not fitting my financial needs.
What do you see is like? What do you see as the average price point out there, and then the taxes based on that? Like first time home buyer house out
Where
there?
Out in West Islip?
It's like $450.
Yeah, I think between $400 and $450. It's and that's move-in condition. That's meant. I mean, you might be able to grab something like $375, $380.
And then what are the taxes on something like that?
95, 10,
which is good.
Which is pretty decent.
Because that same one that's with Star or without Star?
Without Star.
Okay, so then you're down to like 75.
Yeah, depending on what the value is in the stars in West Islip. Yeah.
So if you're Nassau, you're paying $12,000 with Star on that same house in Nassau.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a big deal.
To most, yeah. And then West Islip,
it's $500
obviously,
a month,
depending on the areas, you're avoiding flood insurance. Flood insurance is a big issue for buyers these days.
What's going? Is there anything? I haven't been over there actually. Actually after this conversation, I'm going to go over there. Is there anything going on commercial wise, like in the downtown area? Is it like, restaurants? Anything coming in?
It doesn't have much of a. I mean, I hate to say that, but I don't think it's just not like a village like Babylon Village or Emeryville Village, Massapequa. There's like you have a little bit of Merrick Road, and then you have up I think it's Udall, where there's a couple of things going on, but it really kind of flows into Babylon. So West Islip, that's what I think is the benefit of West Islip. Like you get a lot you get a bang for your buck, but you're kind of right there into the Babylon village nightlife and shopping.
How long before, like, what's the car ride from West Islip to Babylon?
Maybe 5 minutes.
That's awesome. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you cross over 231. That's it. You're there.
That makes sense. And because actually, it's interesting you say it because now I think I've had friends call me like, yo, my cousin or whatever wants to move to like East Islip.
East Islip is popular these days too.
West Islip, Babylon, and like Babylon doesn't have a lot of, and actually West Babylon, all the Babylons are actually on fire these days and have been for a little bit of a while. But I guess it makes sense. Why the proximity plus Babylon Village itself, like there's just not a lot of inventory there.
No,
there's no inventory there.
No, that moves. I mean, they have a really nice village community there. It's nice.
Yeah,
a lot going on.
I would like to see it like, I don't know. I feel like it's like on the cusp of like really popping. I would like to see like a little more action on that strip. I don't know, like a little bit further north. You have Monsoons, you have those other places, but like a little bit further north, where you get like, what is that, Mary Carroll's? Is it?
Mary Carroll's been there forever, but the Villager just turned over, right? That was the old.
I just feel like
I know you don't drink, so maybe you don't know all these locations.
But you don't drink anymore either, apparently.
I'm not a quitter, dude. Nobody likes a quitter. I'm just taking a little time out. It was like yesterday, so
that's the kind of faith that I have in you. If you said that, I'm like, all right, that's it. She's done.
Oh, today's Friday.
What does that mean? You're drinking?
Listen, I didn't quit. I'm just saying, one, you set this for 9 o'clock. I wanted to make sure I wasn't late. Okay. Thanks for the grace period. It's good. 10's good.
I would just, I don't know. I just feel like
it becomes a little residential after that. Once you hit the train tracks, you have residential properties.
I just feel like I want the downtown there to be a little bit crazier.
No.
No?
No. You're too old for crazy.
First of all,
you want classy.
Who's old?
Well, I mean...
First of all, I didn't say crazy.
My body tells me I'm old. In my head, I'm certainly not.
I don't want people puking in the street. But
so what do you mean?
Like, I feel like... Let's think about what, like...
A lot of places over there I've cleaned up and turned over.
I feel like Patchogue has a little bit more...
Patchogue is...
But more action. More action on the Strip, I think.
There's a lot going on over there, though.
The Strip stretches longer. I mean, it's just kudos to the mayor of Patchogue. I went to...
I think that would probably be a detriment because, people... Yeah, because that's such a big... They're not going to be passing all this... Like, let's say you go to Monsoons, right, and you don't have any parking. You're passing all of those stores there, but it's not too long of a walk that you're going to avoid it and go around back. So you still have
decent parking.
You have foot traffic, I think. Being too big of a space is just... Let's agree to disagree on that.
All right, we can agree to disagree on that. I want to talk about the commercial stuff. You do a lot of commercial leasing. Let's talk about the residential stuff too. You do a ton of
I do a ton of residential rentals, yeah.
A ton of residential,
yeah.
All over the place. Specifically, you do a lot of cash stands, but you do a lot of government programs too.
Not so.
No?
I mean, no, not really.
I'm lying.
I have certain landlords that or investors that pick up properties in different areas specifically for government programs. I'm selective in the programs that I recommend to the landlords. I've actually had the opportunity to hook up one of my really good landlords with the first time ever program they were running for elder care. It's like a step before they would put the elderly into a nursing home. It's the only landlord they have. It's actually such a good a program that they decided to purchase their own homes. Yeah. So that's been like 6 years running with him. Yeah.
I actually just did a deal with a program similar to that Brian Carper's telling me about. They were doing the same thing. The only issue is now they're back to renting because they lost their funding to buy.
Oh shoot! Okay.
So now they're back to renting. So I don't know if it's the same way with them.
They're going, hey, what up? It's me.
But you about the programs, and I love the programs, right? I now will only rent to Section 8 or CDC. I love CDC. I found out an interesting thing about DSS yesterday because I have a DSS tenant and I'm just one, and I'm happy because what I found out is not okay. I don't know if you knew this. They don't bump the rents. DSS.
Yearly? No.
DSS does not bump the rents. They pay. They're weird. They don't pay. You know how they usually pay per CDC pays for bedroom count, based on your permit,
right,
etc. No, they pay per person that they put in the house.
Yeah, but they have to stay within. No, I don't like that.
So I'm like, the tenant, it's up, and I'm like, all right, well, so I'm going to bump the rent because fair market just got bumped by CDC big time and by Section 8 big time. It was like 8% in the last year. Wow. So I call up Mark's having a hard time getting in touch with them. So I'm like, let me call them. So I'm like, listen.
This is Handsome on the phone.
This is Handsome. This is Handsome here. I'm like, let me call the president direct, the bat phone. So I get a gentleman on the phone who's really nice who runs the whole show. And he says to me, he's like, oh, let me look it up. He goes, oh, you're not getting any more money. He's like, I'm going to tell you flat out that you're not getting any more money. You're maxed out. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, all right, well, I wish you guys would have let me know because that's kind of, misleading. He goes, well, he didn't feel that was. I'm like, if I knew this, you don't tell people this. Because usually they get a caseworker, right? You get a caseworker with CDC. DSS has a caseworker, but as soon as they place you, they're out. Like, they don't get involved anymore.
Really?
So there's no caseworker. There's nobody there. So the guy flat out told me, he's like, we're not going to pay anymore, but we're paying full boat now. He's like, if you don't want to renew, that's fine. We'll pay until they leave, but I'm telling you now, they're not going to leave.
Well, that's the problem.
You're going to have to evict them.
Right. So I'm like,
bro, what are you doing to me here?
So I'll just take it, right?
Well, that's not what's going to happen.
Not even going to buy me dinner first. Nice.
I mean, I'm going, not a kiss, nothing. But, so I'm going to, I'm just not going to renew it, and I have to go through the eviction process. I'll go through the eviction process. But I'm never doing DSS again.
Thanks for not kicking my tires, bro, and being straight up and honest with me. You know what I mean? Like, not giving you any more money, and they're not going to be moving, because that's the reality of it. And that's the fear of most landlords. So I don't do a lot of programs because I believe in really good, solid investments for my investors. If they're picking up a property for a rental purpose, I want them to know exactly what they're getting into. Nice. I have certain areas for these individuals that strictly are looking for that solid government-funded program that's going to pay them every time. A lot of which is going to be Section 8, who they stay for 10 years. You know what I mean? If everything's good and they're not breaching their lease and they didn't move 15 people into the house, everything's fine, then they stay. You know.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say to people who are like, "Oh, Section 8 is terrible. Like they wreck the place, this and that."
Well, that's
not
their
because
experience.
They've had the experience.
Well, because they're listening to a friend who may have who maybe heard that somebody else had a bad experience. You can have a bad experience with a cash tenant. Okay. Yeah. You at the end of the day, you have to screen anybody just like any other tenant. Okay. How long have they been a client or a participant in that program? Have they been kicked out of a place before? Are they working? Or are they completely unemployed? You know, how much of a percentage would they be responsible for? And would that lack of that, let's say 30%, that's an example of Section 8, right? They could be responsible up to 30% if they're working. Does the rent roll cover what I need at 70%? Okay, because you want to make sure that if they default, you're still being covered. Because if you make that complaint that the tenant's not coming forward with their rents, they're not going to pay you. As far as the government, they're not going to pay you. And then you have to go through the eviction, like what you're going through with DSS.
Yeah. So I mean, now I'm like, now I'm at a crossroads. I'm like, all right, what do I do? Like, do I keep this person in there for a couple years, or do I just flush it out now?
It's hard being a landlord, man.
It's not. So you want to be a real estate investor? It's not that easy. It's not. It's just it fires. It's crazy all the time.
Love it or list it, or flip it or kick it,
or flip it or flop it. Yeah. You do a lot of property management too.
I call it guidance. Okay.
And we were talking before, I'm like, property management, like the permit business, is the most thankless job ever, right? Because it's like calls at 3 o'clock in the morning on a freaking Sunday. If you do a great job, nobody ever says shit. But when something goes wrong, you're the worst person in the world. There's screams, there's yells, there's everything. So, yeah, I'm actually curious to know why you put yourself through that.
Well, quality of service. I think that is the most important thing to me. You know, a promise to a tenant, or, you know, just my name. Okay, my reputation is most important. So if, let's say, a landlord's not responding to a repair, I'm going to get that repair done. You know, whether it's me crawling in a crawl space because it's a frozen pipe, switching out ceiling tiles, you know what I mean?
In Louboutins.
You know, it has to be done. You can't. It's just if you say you're going to do something, it has to be done. So, you know, whether it's commercial, residential.
You just love the hustle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to do with myself.
Yeah. Like, you couldn't just hang out.
I mean, there's days where I binge watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Like one day.
But this is probably recovery from, you know, 3 to 6 months of craziness. I don't
think binge drinking or overworking.
No, overworking.
Okay.
No, not binge drinking. We know
I'm a workaholic. I mean, I really have a hard time sitting still.
Yeah, like
my mother's worse than me. Forget it.
Like, can you go on vacation and sit on a beach somewhere?
I can, but when I get home, I know it's gonna, like, I have anxiety about the storm that I'm walking into. You know, whether it's somebody who turned off a burner switch and have no heat, or down to where have you been? The world stopped because you were gone for 3 days. You know, that's nice to know you needed and wanted, but it's
whatever. What like commercial leasing?
Yeah,
I've actually been picking your brain a lot on commercial leasing lately because I've been looking through commercial stuff, and like, lo and behold, oh shit, Rosie does commercial too. Who knew that Rosie was leasing out, you know, half of Merrick Road?
Well, hopefully everybody knows.
Well, now they're gonna know.
Yes,
they listen to the podcast. How did you get into commercial? Like, just kind of like your general views about it. How did you get into commercial? Is it a totally different animal? I believe it is.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make that transition? Because it's a totally different world. And the agency,
it kind of just fell in my lap. Well, just because I am active and I am within the community, I sold a couple of buildings along Merrick Road, and just by referral basis. You know, I think networking, you know, just you're always on, right? When you're listening to people, meet new people. What are you looking for? What do you do? What do you need? And it's just word of mouth that I kind of got into it, you know? And it is a completely different animal. Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about price per square. I mean, and you do the leasing. So the sales aspect of sales, okay, fine, right? But like, which is different. You're talking about cap rates and price per square foot, et cetera. But like, when you're doing leasing, it's very different too. It's like, and every lease is different. Like, I've seen you do office, I've seen you do retail, I've seen you do multifamily stuff, everything. So you have, it's price per square foot, it's modified gross, it's a triple net, it's like, it's all over the board.
It is. And
what was kind of like confusing. What was that learning process like for you? How long did it take?
It's still a learning process. I learn something new every day. You know, like you said, every building or every landlord is going to be individual. So the office space is, I do it based, they don't have to pay CAM. They don't, you know, they pay a flat rent, they pay the utilities, similar to like residential. Then you have the strip mall where it's their rent, you know, the base rents, their utilities, CAM, and then increase in taxes. Every deal or it is always a learning process. And it's, you know, price per square foot is really demand. It's not, you know, it's not everybody's looking to open up a business, you know, or what's the location of that commercial space versus the one that's, you know, walking distance in the village. It makes, you know, that's what's the demand, you know, that determines your.
And with commercial, I feel like it's harder to get good data. Like, it's real easy to be like, all right, cool, I have a Cape in West Islip, a Cape down the block sold, what is this thing worth?
Right.
But the commercial world, they like kind of keep everything close to the vest.
Because a lot of agents are not commercial agents, and they don't know how to plug in the proper information into like a listing. So when a listing closes out, it's hard for you to determine what the cap rate is, because what were the expenses, what's the net? You know, like you looking, right? When you're running your comps these days for commercial spaces, it's like there's no description, there's no information here aside from taxes. Great, thank you. So it's an income producing property, but you're not giving me any income.
Well, the thing also that agents, commercial agents, a lot of times they don't list this stuff. It's like very close to the vest, right? And then on the leases, they don't want to publish a lot of data. They flat out told me because they don't want, like landlords don't want their tenants being poached when they realize when the expiration date on the lease is, what it was leased for, etc. So if all that stuff is out there in the open, and you know Dunkin' Donuts around the corner is their lease is expiring in 6 months, you go over there and say, hey.
I understand that point of view of like them not going and trying to solicit tenants out of that building, but you're not helping yourself or your neighbor landlords. Look at all those.
I agree with you.
Along Long Island, look at all the storefronts that are vacant or the things that are opening up, because there's no way of justifying to a tenant or a landlord saying, this is what your space is worth, because your comps you're not getting all the information. So they have this pipe dream and you can't fight the pipe dream because you don't have the info.
The whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. And I say that, like, I'll meet big commercial brokers and I'll talk to them. We're like very cool. And I say, listen, you want like, love this opinion or hate this opinion? I'm like, yo, list your shit on MLS. They're like, nah. I'm like, yo, it's going to help you. List your shit on MLS. Like, The more exposure you have, the better it's going to be for your clients.
What are they afraid of? Keeping it as exclusive or sharing it?
It's not that, you know what it is? It's just one of the, and you ask them, they don't really have an answer for you, because it's like, it's been done this way for so long that everyone has that fear of change. Like, I go back to, I got to give props to Matthew. You know Matthew Shane? Shane.
From what company? Shane Inker? No.
That's his grandmother, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Island.
I don't know if I know that.
So he's a commercially young kid, real hustler, and he puts all of his stuff on MLS, and because of that, he gets a massive amount of exposure.
Well, because you're feeding off of so many other sites. Now you're looking at the other side of it's landlords shopping around, seeing what their property is worth, and they see your name on every listing. I get it, but you have to change with the times. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now, as far as going back to residential, when it comes to rentals, I don't necessarily put things on multiple listing because I have such a wide base. Okay, whether it's referral customer wise or relationships with other agents. So I have a lot of agents that will need something and know the quality of the standard of inventory that I carry. So, Rosie, this is what I got. What do you have? And I'm more than happy to co-broke. If you have the quality tenant for my client and I don't have it, I want them. That's the whole goal, is to get them the best quality tenant possible.
Yeah.
So what if I make half? It's moving on to the next one. You know what I mean? Volume. Move on to the next one.
Some money's always better than no money. Even the commercial. And this is kind of interesting too, because the commission structure on commercial versus
7 and 3s
on the leasing end of it, and then so for those that explain that, so that for those people that don't understand,
I barely understand it, but it's 7% of the annual rent for the first 3 years. Yeah. Yeah,
it's 7% of the annual rent for the first 3 years, and then 3% of the annual rent for the remaining 2 years, and then sometimes there's a renewal clause. It really depends. So there's that, but also typically commissions are higher on the sales of commercial, and I think also that's like the brokers don't want other brokers to know like what they're getting if they're putting out a certain amount.
It's ridiculous.
The whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. It's a very different world. Like I don't care.
Be transparent, man. Like what's the big deal? Fine. You don't show me your bank account. I don't care.
I think it hurts everybody. I think it hurts everybody. Yeah. I think everybody would do more business if they just put that shit out there.
Well, you know what? Do good business. You don't have to fear that someone's going to screw you over. I get it. But you should do good business. Why not be honest to the other agent next to you? It's a competitive business. I understand, but you're only hurting yourself because now you have an unexperienced agent that you're trying to work with, maybe from another company. That's the biggest complaint with new agents that I get, that they don't. There's no guidance. There's no that nobody wants to teach you, because it's almost like they're threatened by competition. Don't be threatened by competition. If anything, it only makes you a better person. It makes you a better agent. I
mean, that's in every field, and I'm with you 100% on that. And as I think that's the number one complaint I get from agents. And when I look out there, so like as a broker, when I look out at brokers, I kind of want your comment on this. I see a lack of training. Like most brokers, I feel like there's no support, and like, as an agent, what are you getting? I mean, there's a very select few. I mean, you're really hands-on. Dean Miller is trying to do a lot of great things. I really like him. There's a couple like select guys, but overall, I feel like it's just like, I'm taking this percentage and that's it.
Yeah. From many broker ends, like you're saying, like bigger companies and so on. I wish I was a better teacher, because I learned from like just experience. Like you have to show me. I'm not one that can read something and I have to apply it. You have to show me hands on.
You're a kinesthetic learner, they call it.
Shoot, and I'm distracted. What was the question?
So basically, I know you work with your agents. Like, I know that you're constantly looking to bring in agents, you're cultivating agents, you're doing a million things on your own, but you kind of give a certain level of attention to your new agents that most other brokers don't. So I was saying, like,
because I want business at my standard of business as well. You're representing the company. Why wouldn't I want you to be the best agent possible? You know, everything you learn. Sometimes you hit a speed bump. You have to learn from that experience. So moving on the next one, you won't ask them the same question. You know.
Do you have the agents shadow you? Like, what do you kind of?
I do. That's the best way. Because that's the best way I can learn. So it's hard for me to tell them, oh, go do this, go do that. No, come and see how it's done. Right. Obviously, this is the kitchen. Don't point out the kitchen. Point out the facts of the house. What are the taxes? What's the property size? You know, are we gas? Are we oil? You know, when you see these shows, like, oh, can you picture yourself here? You know what I mean? Like, I have them shadowing because that's just the best way I can learn and the best way I can teach.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's good.
That makes sense.
It works for them. So.
But I think on the flip side, I think agents have to realize, or like new agents have to realize, like, yo, this is a process.
But that takes, it takes time out of my day, and it costs me money because I'm not running a million miles a minute, or, you know, I'm taking time out to teach you or show you, you know, so that's probably a lot of brokers why they kind of shy away from that. Yeah,
but I mean, you got to appreciate it. So basically what it comes down to is, like, if you want to get into real estate, right, definitely, you know, what's your phone number? How can people get in touch with you? I want to.
631-365-7444. That's my cell.
I would strongly consider that. So, I mean, if you're a new agent or someone you're just getting into real estate, you're thinking about it. Rosie's an amazing teacher, mentor. She's super high energy. I mean, she's tough. Listen, like, if you're not there to work, you don't want to work with Rosie. Like, if you're there to just
don't waste my time.
No. But like, if you want someone who's going to give it all to you, if you're going to give it back, that's Rosie. But it's a process. Like, it's a process. You can't just. People think, like, oh, I'll get a license, and, like, all of a sudden I'll just, like, start selling houses and shit.
28,000 people have their license with LIBOR, right?
And, yes, we were just talking about it. So 28,000 people have their license, and half of them didn't do a deal last year.
Not one. Yeah.
That was the stats that I heard recently.
Yeah.
Which is, like, it doesn't make sense. It gets a little bit scary because I feel like that's, like, pre-crash shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody wants to be an agent?
Well, I mean, there's many agents who just carry their license, you know. How about I have my license too. When was the last time you were active? You've never sold a house. So you have a license, great, you know, but it's you have to be in the market. The market's always changing, you know. The old way of doing business. I can't imagine doing business when my mom first came in. There was no internet. Can you imagine?
They did. MLS was like a book, right?
It was like a book. Like, remember the JCPenney catalog? Like, around Christmas time, you'd circle everything you wanted as a kid. It was just a big book, and it was papers. You know, like the stock market, even back in the day. They throw papers across the room. I can't even imagine. No GPS, no cell phones. It was insane.
I can't even imagine. I remember Les used to, you know Les, obviously. Yeah. You knew Les. So Les used to say, like, to get an edge on the other investors, like, he would wake up at, like, 3 a.m. and go to, like, whatever, like, they would drop off those things outside real estate offices, and he would, like, grab it and read through it at, like, 4 a.m.
He was sick, He was sick.
To see, like, all right, what's the new properties? And then this way he could call and get in there right away and hopefully get the deal.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That's the hustle.
That is the hustle.
Now, I'll be up from the night before. I'll stop by on my way home,
Boom.
Grab that book, you know?
And then set the appointments, but not before 9:30.
Not before 9:30, if I can help it.
I want to conclude with your feelings on the market. And when I say that, I mean your feelings on the market from every perspective, since you're so well-rounded, like commercial leasing, residential rentals, and just overall sales, as far as where you see, like, price points are, where things are moving, where they aren't, etc.
Okay. Residential versus rental. So this past year, all right, early spring, summer, up until, let's say, very early fall, it was a rat race, right? Because I feel that many of the younger generation professional renters, let's call them, who had no intentions of purchasing here on the Long Island, because eventually they planned on moving out of the state, have become buyers. The rental prices are high. Things that were renting for $2,500 are renting for $3,000. And you need a minimum of 3 months out of pocket in order to get into this rental. So that's $9,000, right, up front. If you can prove to me that you can afford a $3,000 a month rental, why wouldn't you purchase a property? And I think that people that didn't think it was a possibility for them now realize it's a financial benefit. It's smarter, it makes more sense. So you have so many more buyers that are coming out into the market. That was spring to summer this past year.
Okay, of 2018. Okay,
2018. Cool. If you were not out and saw this house within hours of it listing or 3 days of the listing, it was gone. And it was typically gone full price, $1,000 over, or very, very close. Right?
Yes.
You agree?
100%,
right.
Yeah.
Rentals, I found were slower, okay, or at least quality rentals were slower.
Okay.
Obviously, holiday season, rentals slow down as well as residential.
Quality rentals in the sense that quality rentals weren't renting as fast, or there was a lack of quality rentals?
I'm saying quality tenants, let's say, okay. without lack of a better word, okay? Strong credit, income, references, usually somebody who's renting at this point, maybe is going through a divorce, maybe a short sale at one time, a medical bill, or whatever the case. There's always usually a story that's tacked behind that.
Yeah.
Years prior, it's just we're not sure if we want to stay in New York.
Yeah.
That was the line. Now it's like, screw it, we're going to be here for the next 5 years. It's a 5-year plan. And they're purchasing. Yeah.
Wow.
Commercial wise, last year was good. I think that the economy was doing well, and people were making more risks as far as opening up their own business or branching out into a satellite office. It's too early for me to say really in commercial end how this year's gonna pan out.
What? But if you had a crystal ball, what do you?
I wish I had a crystal ball.
How do you see, just in general, just the market in general over the next?
I think obviously it's a roller coaster, but I think it's going to kind of level itself out. Before level out, dip, and then level back up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We got to keep the market moving. So obviously the interest rates, that's the way they do it. Slow it down, pick it back up. You got to keep the economy strong. So I think the interest rate plays the biggest role. And let's see how this government debacle kind of comes together. I think the threat of the government shutdown, reopening, shutdown, that's kind of throwing the whole market for a loop.
Yeah, no, it's a weird time. It's a very
a lot
weird
of people, just went almost a month without a paycheck. So let's say if they were in the middle of purchasing a home and they're doing their last clearance, I didn't
even think of that.
How many people weren't able to move forward?
Wow, I can't. You know what? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Did you have any buyers or sellers that happened to?
Thank God I didn't. No.
Did you heard stories like that though?
No, it happens all the time. Not in that sense, but somebody loses their job, or you have to continue to show, like, what if they're doing their final update, their final,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Employment verification.
Fuck, that makes sense.
And they get denied for their mortgage. It stinks.
I guess. Listen, nobody has a crystal ball.
If I had a crystal ball, we would be talking into a jazzed up microphone.
What are you trying to say?
It's classy. I dig it,
What are you trying? This is a bootleg operation. With that said, if you want to buy a house, if you want to sell a house, if you are an agent who wants to work for the best of the best, Rosie Bozza, aka Rosie the Realtor. How do they get in touch with you, Rosie?
Call the office 631-264-7700 or my cell 631-365-7444.
Just not before 9:30.
Not before 9:30.
Texts are okay, but calls are not. And I am obviously Charles, the Handsome Homebuyer. 516-777-SOLD. You got commercial property. How's it smell like cat pee? And always my twin brother, Captain Permit, which is actually me. 516-513-8838. That's a wrap, people. Have a good one.